Fresh off the blockbuster success of last year's Vatican Treasures exhibit, the Pittsburgh Heinz History Center is tapping one of Pennsylvania's favorite sons to draw crowds this summer season. Yeah, I know, Ben Franklin's more of a Philadelphia guy. Yet there are Pittsburgh connections that make this a show everybody in our region will want to see. Don't believe me? Well, the History Center recruited one of the nation's foremost experts on the original Big Ben to make the case. Emily Ruby is assistant curator of the Senator John Heinz History Center, and Dr. Alan Houston is provost of Eleanor Roosevelt College and professor of political science at the University of California, San Diego. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome from San Diego.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Why don't we start with you, Emily, though, on how this Ben Franklin exhibit came to be in Pittsburgh?
Sure. Well, at the History Center, we try to tell the American experience with a Western Pennsylvania connection. So what better way than with Franklin? And this was a way for us to really highlight what his role in this region was, which isn't so well known. He played a crucial role in the French and Indian War and Braddock's campaign to our region. And he also was really involved in the Ohio Valley. He knew the importance of it to the future of America. So he corresponded with Indian traders in our region. He had a nephew that was stationed at Fort Pitt who he corresponded with. So we tell that story in this exhibit.
So you've really added a twist. This is a traveling exhibit, but you've been able to put a Western PA spin on this whole thing, right?
We have. We added a whole section to the exhibit just on this Western Pennsylvania connection.
That's really cool. And Dr. Houston, you really attracted a lot of attention not all that long ago. You found the treasure trove of Franklin letters, and by happenstance, a lot of them happen to relate to this Western Pennsylvania story.
They're entirely about Franklin's contributions to Edward Braddock's march from Virginia, where he landed, to Fort Duquesne, which was his destination. And the letters I found in the British Library, about 50 of them were all either by or to or about Franklin and how he helped to organize wagons. Wagons provided by Pennsylvania settlers, farmers from the central and western part of the state, or of the colony at that time, to help transport Braddock's troops.
Well, what we all know is the Braddock campaign wound up being very ill-fated at the very end, but it sounded like it got off to a rocky start. What, landed in Virginia without any wagons to get the army up here?
They did, and Braddock was furious. He had been promised hundreds of wagons and thousands of horses and had none of them. And Franklin had this knack for being at the right place and the right time. And he showed up in Braddock's camp at exactly the moment when Braddock was ready to commandeer and take whatever he needed, and instead offered to help arrange a deal. He would lease or rent the services of farmers and settlers in Pennsylvania. And he then spent, he and his son and his friends and his network of relations across the state helped to line up the farmers with their wagons and to provide transport to about 2,000 British soldiers.
Unbelievable. And you've even there's actually a wagon, a replica of one of these wagons was created for this exhibit?
That's right. The students at Burgettstown High School, in their shop class, they built a replication a farmer's wagon from that time period. They had the running gear, and then they built the rest of the wagon, and it was a wonderful school project. And they were just in today, actually, seeing their work on display, and they were really proud.
What a really, really cool thing, and a cool way to involve them from the educational standpoint as well. You know, I guess Ben Franklin referenced this in his autobiography in kind of an oh, by the way, but you've really been able to dig inside the dynamics behind this relationship between Franklin and the farmers in Braddock in a way we've never heard before.
The farmers turn out to be what you would hope they are: smart, clever, intelligent, taking advantage of their situation, as Franklin depicts them as being good, loyal subjects. When they were asked to provide their wagons, he says in his autobiography, they jumped at the chance. But in fact, they negotiated for wages, they negotiated for better insurance for their wagons and their horses. They cleverly realized that if the longer they held out, the more that they could command as a price for their services. And so you see the farmers all along the way behaving in smart and clever ways. You also see signs of rural life. There are accounts of mobs of drunken farmers who are difficult to control, and it creating a challenge for, in this case, Billy Franklin, Ben's son, as he's trying to sign them up, and they're intoxicated and aggressive. But across the board, there's a much more nuanced picture, and they emerge as vibrant, live individuals living in the 18th century instead of cartoons in a story.
Well, and it's good to hear we were even good at business here in our region 250 years ago.
That's what you'd want.
You know, we still have, only a little bit over a minute left, but I wonder from both of your perspectives, perhaps, why do Americans still have such fascination for Ben Franklin, perhaps more than any of the other founding fathers?
So for my take, there's a general fascination because he was so charming and clever. He's got a sense of wit. I think the good reason for continued fascination is that he was committed to improving himself and the world around him. And throughout his life in Philadelphia, in London, in Paris, where he went as ambassador, he's constantly trying to get people to work together to make the world a better place, to improve it. And that's really the purpose of the exhibition, is to help show the many ways in which he did that through postal service, through financial reform, through fire organization, fire brigades, and so forth.
I think I find him the most relatable of the founding fathers. If you read his autobiography, he owns up to some of these maybe things that other people would try to hide. He
was kind of all out there.
You can imagine sitting down with him and talking, and as Washington is kind of this far off, distant figure, I think you feel like you could relate to Franklin.
Very cool. The exhibit's open till when?
July 31st.
July 31st. Everybody can go check it out. A great new travel destination this summer while everybody's on the road for the vacation season. Emily Ruby from the History Center, Dr. Alan Houston, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.